those who have not dropped out or on the precipice of dropping out, we try to grab them and teach them the importance of themselves. You're supposed to be leaders. You're supposed to be liberated. We do classes about how to liberate yourself, how to educate yourself, how to stay out of the criminal justice system, and how to get your butt into college.
This is Hourglass, the podcast for United Way of King County in Seattle. Coming up, a conversation with Dawn Bennett, the Executive Director of the African American Leadership Forum, a Kent-based organization committed to the revitalization and sustainability of communities of color. We will also hear a special message from United Way President and CEO Gordon McHenry Jr. and hear about a local volunteer opportunity. I'm your host, Joe Burris. Thanks for tuning in. For many people across our nation, it has been a surprisingly tumultuous 5 years. From the COVID-19 pandemic that exposed and amplified healthcare disparities, to the George Floyd murder that reminded us that there's no such thing as post-racial America, to today's slew of White House executive orders that could jeopardize people's employment, citizenship, or personal safety, it often seems like each season ushers in a new set of things to worry about. But for those historically on the outskirts of wealth and opportunity, the issues over the last 5 years have only added to what must seem like unbearable burdens. Even in King County, which according to Stanford University's Data Common Research ranks as the 40th wealthiest jurisdiction in the U.S., many people have lived much of their lives grappling with issues some folks scarcely knew existed before 2020. There is a gap between the haves and have-nots that is seen throughout King County, where according to Communities Count data, the top 20% of income earners make 19 times more income than the bottom 20%. These disparities are not accidental. They are the product of years of policies that have kept certain people from building wealth through one of our nation's most traditional means, owning a home to build equity. United Way's 2015 report, Understanding King County's Racial Inequities, concluded that a root cause of racial and ethnic disparities is structural racism, often defined as the normalization and legitimization of historical, cultural, institutional, and interpersonal dynamics that work to the detriment of communities of color. The U.S. Department of Health and Human Services says that home ownership is an important tool for building wealth, and parental ownership significantly increases the likelihood that homeowners' children will buy homes. But here in King County, years of racially restricted covenants kept people of color from buying homes in many areas, often limiting them to tracts of substandard housing. The Fair Housing Act of 1968 outlawed restricted covenants, but their effects are still felt today. King County government data says that South Seattle and Southwest King County contain the most diverse areas of the jurisdiction, but face the greatest barriers in access to opportunity. The county says that immigrants and communities of color are more likely than white households to live in areas with higher rates of poverty, environmental hazards, and fewer economic and educational opportunities. Also, less than 30% of King County's Black, Latino, and Indigenous households own their own homes, as opposed to nearly 2/3 of white households. The county says that economic segregation is also a factor, adding that the region's high incomes are less likely to be held by Black, Latino, and Indigenous households. Disparities in wealth and access to resources are often amplified during economic downturns or a crisis like COVID. Communities Count data says that Latinos in King County are nearly 3 times less likely to see a doctor due to cost and more than 5 times more likely to be without health insurance. And nearly 30% of Black households and a quarter of Latino households are severely cost-burdened, compared with 18% of white households. To make matters worse, executive orders signed by the White House this year have targeted cuts to government funding for programs that address concerns felt by low-income communities of color. Additional orders cutting jobs and targeting immigration, diversity, and citizenship stand to further burden those who have historically been victims of systemic oppression, injustice, and inequality. Fortunately for those communities, there are organizations who have worked to address those concerns for years. They include the African American Leadership Forum, a Kent-based organization committed to the revitalization and sustainability of not only African American communities, but all those of African descent, as well as Latino and Indigenous communities. African American Leadership Forum focuses on 5 areas to improve the lives of communities of color: education, economic development, child well-being, health and wellness, and criminal justice. Among its current programs is a down payment assistance toward home ownership. The organization has secured $100,000 in down payment assistance for about 24 households each. It also sponsors a job training and placement program called Youth Engaged in Leadership and Liberation, or YEL. African American Leadership Forum is a member of United Way of King County's Black Community Building Collective, a group of organizations that use United Way funding to share best practices and formulate strategies that promote the well-being of King County's Black community. Hourglass recently sat down with African American Leadership Forum's director, Dawn Bennett, to talk about the origins of the organization, its programmatic work, and the issues that have been impacting the county's communities of color for generations. Here's what Dawn had to say.
So the African American Leadership Forum started with Liz Word. She wrote a grant to the Northwest Area Foundation. And they came here. They were going to different cities, and they came here with some small dollars. And we were one of the cities that were accepted to get a grant to the Northwest Area Foundation. And so they did some work here for 5 years. After the 5 years, they decided to let us keep the name of African American Leadership Forum and continue the work. I was already volunteering with Miss Liz Word, and when she handed it over to me, I already knew about African American Leadership Forum, so I went ahead and took the reins, and she went and got a position with Highline College.
So Dawn, talk about the program for down payment assistance toward home ownership.
We have gotten about 25 people, about $100,000 for down payment assistance. They're on our list. And then we have another list of about 115 more, right? So we can't help all of them. So we end up, doing what we don't want to do, trying to cream to the top those who have a good high credit score, a good job. Didn't know about getting a house, right? Didn't know the system of ownership, owning land, didn't know the importance of it. So we're able to educate them on the importance of it. Please own. Stop doing these apartments. Stop living in apartments. That's a game. Don't do it. So we were able to get these dollars. I have a great team that wrote a really good grant and got two grants and got some dollars for that. Really proud of my team.
The last time I spoke with you, the story with you in 2022, and you were doing the Yale program.
We still do that through our criminal justice, we received some dollars through the city of Seattle.
Tell us about
Youth Engaged in Liberation and Leadership. So not only teaching adults how to have ownership and own land, we also, those who have not dropped out or on the precipice of dropping out, we try to grab them and teach them the importance of themselves. You're supposed to be leaders. You're supposed to be liberated, right? And in our class, we do classes every other month. We do classes about how to liberate yourself, how to educate yourself, how to stay out of the criminal justice system, and how to get your butt into college.
Dawn says that the Yale program also has a wellness component for the young leaders. And as for the down payment assistance toward homeownership, she says that the program has been a godsend for people looking to get out of rentals and into their own properties.
So we got into this work because of a young lady named Anjanae Slaughter. She's a young, up-and-coming real estate agent, and she brought this work to us because she was already doing work with commerce in Olympia. She was already there talking to senators and representatives about what is to come. She knew it was coming in, so she brought it to me. She wrote the grant along with a grant writer that we have. And we already had the experience of being with young people because of me working with the city of Seattle for so long. I already know young people that have come to be adults, right? And it's time for those adults to have ownership, own homes, right? And so we were able to put in the grant that we're able to go and recruit families that are in apartments that need to own, right? So putting that together with Anjanae, who I used to mentor from when she was in high school until now she's a woman. I don't mentor her anymore because she has surpassed mentorship, right? So to be able to watch her grow and then watch her become a professional, and then for her watch her become at the top of her game and win awards and do well. Also to watch the discrimination that she faces on the way and her being able to come to us. I am just sitting here at work in my sweats, a peacock, right? I'm so very proud of our whole team, which happens to be predominantly Black women. Yeah, our team is predominantly Black women. Our grant writer is an ally, and she does amazing work together with the Black representatives and the senators. And then she came along and said, "Oh, how can I help?" Just wanted to be a part of it. And it just feels so... I love to receive what's happening. After I do so much work, I love receiving all of the gifts that come from doing great work, which is, it's not money. It's everyone is happy at African American Leadership Forum.
Now, you always hear people say, when you have an apartment, you throw money away, away. So now you say that you went out and sought people to put in homes, to go from the apartment to home ownership. When you started trying to do that, what kind of responses did you get?
The first list that we made, that we're working off of two lists. My list and Anjanae's list. So Anjanae is a younger, I don't want to say her name, but she did this list online and folks just came to her. They just, first of all, they knew her as a real estate agent, and then she opened herself up to do this thing. And they just came, 80 of them. And then we started our work, and then they kept coming. And so I do this all the time where I talk to people about our list, and it's big and it's bold, and it started small and it keeps building. And then she did her specialty, and then I went and did my specialty. Folks already knew me from helping people. So when I talk to them about buying a home, folks want to get in Anjanae's class and they want to get to it because they also want to have home ownership. It is just that folks are not talking to them about it. Nobody's talking to these folks. So I come to them and they're like, "What? I can own a house?" Yes, you can own a house. And look at how much money. I think we're the organization that's giving the most money because we do know that our African-American folks have questions about, is this real? And how much is it? I can't work with this little bit of money. So we make it pretty lofty.
How did you get to that number, 100,000?
Because we had seen some down payment assistance programs that were not big enough, right? You look at our African-American community everywhere, and the money that's thrown to us is little. And I have experience with that. And so we had a discussion about this has to be bigger. It has to be bigger. And then Anjanae, again, went and did the work to make sure that it was legal and that we were within the parameters of the rules. Right. And then voila, Dawn and Anjanae working together well, again, to make sure that we're doing something great for African Americans. And not only African Americans, Native Americans are able to be in there, and then Latino folks too.
And so where are the folks getting housing?
Within Pierce County and King County.
Oh, okay.
All over the place. It's a state initiative. So.
And so now, when you talk to some of the people that in government, in these agencies and programs, what misconceptions do they have about African Americans, Latinos, indigenous people trying to get homes?
That we have enough. And that's not even in home ownership. That we have enough. We don't have enough. And, I can sit up here and talk to you all night about the deficits and we know what we're talking about. I can talk to another person who they don't know what we're talking about. Folks really think that we have enough. We don't need any help. We don't need all that help, right? $100,000 to some people is a big number, but to me, it's very small. It's a very small number, and we should have started there. And then when African American Leadership Forum got in the game, we should have doubled that and we're getting $200,000 down payment assistance because that's where it needs to be. It will take 40 years for the African American community to close the gap between the white community of home ownership. 40 years is a long time. Right? So we need more than $100,000 down payment assistance. So what I run into a lot is that we have enough. No, we don't. And that is the thing that makes me mad the most, right? That we don't need help, that we don't need reparations, that we don't need to be given back what we gave in blood, sweat, and tears, that we're okay. Well, no, we're not okay, right? We're still struggling.
African American Leadership Forum is currently working on another program for young people that involves leadership training from local coaches.
So some of these coaches are trying to do education. They're trying to do wraparound services while they're trying to coach kids, right? They're trying to, young people, and I know this as a coach. I coached at Franklin for 14 years, and then I also coached basketball camps for professional athletes. And so when you do that, a young person will show up to you and tell you all of their business, right? Because they trust the coach. They think the coach can help. So they talk about what they're going through. So these coaches are hearing all kind of crazy stories about the young people's life. They're just trying to teach them how to get the next scholarship or get on the team, and then they end up being the social worker. That happened to me when I was here. I was a recreation leader out north, right? And there were a lot of Section 8 housing. There was a lot of Section 8 housing out north. And so at my community center, we got a lot of low-income kids at a thriving center, right? So I am there. I also did case management for the YMCA. So I'm there having fun with the young people and doing recreation and running programs. And I'm also bringing people to do more case management with our kids because they're coming, they're eating, they're having fun, they're in our programs, they're watching movies. And then they're like, hey, Dawn, listen, my mom, this, that, and the other. They would just tell us stories about what's going on in their household. So I'm way out there out north trying to help all these kids. Come to find out, it's not just the South End. Our kids are struggling everywhere. So once again, it's not enough, right? Our kids are everywhere. Our young people are everywhere struggling. And they're telling these stories to we teen leaders, we rec leaders, the coaches. They're telling them to folks that they don't even know, but they trust them because it's a trusting position. And so I'm out there with all these kids of color who just have Section 8, right? And some food stamps. And the other stuff, they're trying to replace the other stuff. So out north, there's not a lot of programs, there's not a lot of money that goes out north, but we have Seattle Parks and Recreation, who I work for, that can help a little bit. And I actually got in trouble because my boss was like, we are not social work. And I'm like, yes, we are. We're everything because they come to us. Yes. And so that happened to me as a young worker. And that was 30 years ago. And we're still trying to fix the thing.
It's amazing how you always see when people say, you have enough, you already helped you. And you look at it and say, not only do we need help, but the people who look just like you need help.
That is everybody. When you talk about, the BIPOC community and then the working poor, right? The working poor has all races in it, right? And then you try to tease out, some of the racism and the BIPOC community, what we're going through. And so it's not only racism, but it's classism, right? And I saw it all comes into our community centers, which is why I was able to take the helm of African American Leadership Forum and do something with it.
Lastly, tell me about your background. I know I've already heard, but for our listeners, tell me about your background and what led you to this work.
So I'm from Mercer Island by way of Youngstown, Ohio. I got here when I was 14. And so going from a town where my mom she was making money. She built her own house from the ground up, but she wanted to get out of the community because it was not safe. It looked good, but that's all it was. It just looked good. And so she wanted to be a woman of means. And so we got here, heard about Mercer Island, and moved on Mercer Island. When I was on Mercer Island, I felt that we were supposed to have the same thing. I was there with a lot of rich kids from a lot of communities. They all were just dripping in money. And I was all constantly wondering, why, Mom, why are we here? Because I was having so much fun. In Ohio, being the big band and all that stuff, the marching band and being a community center there. And when I was in Youngstown, Ohio, I learned about running a community center, which is what I do. And when I was on Mercer Island, I learned about being a successful businesswoman, which is who my mom was, right? And then I saw all these other people that were doing what my mom was doing. And I'm like, everybody is supposed to be doing it. It's just a natural. I know why I'm here, because Mommy does it, right? And so I'm like, why are we all not doing this? And what is going on with these folks who, this school to prison pipeline, what's going on with this, right? I didn't go through it, not knowing that I probably was going through it, right? But the push out couldn't happen to us, right? Because we had a great mom. So my background is just to help folks get to where they're supposed to be. So all of my work, my background with the YMCA, with the city of Seattle, being a case manager, having a business, owning a house, it's all to show young people that you can do it too. If I can do it, you can do it too. So that's my whole background, has just been that.
Dawn Bennett, African American Leadership Forum, thank you so much for your time.
You're so welcome.
For more information about African American Leadership Forum, log on to AALFWA.com. And now a word from United Way of King County President and CEO Gordon McHenry Jr.
I'm talking with you today because when I'm out in our region, people ask me, how are you doing? How is United Way doing? And I'm here to tell you that we understand there is a lot of chaos, there is a lot of anxiety, there is fear and deep concern for the well-being of our most vulnerable residents. And at United Way of King County, we are still here. We are still focused on supporting members of our community with their basic needs. We're still identifying and advocating for systems change to prevent so much socioeconomic challenges in our region. We're working hard to raise important resources that empower our delivery of services and empower our partners in community services. For us, we're going to stay focused on what matters most, and what matters most is the well-being of the Puget Sound region. Stay strong, stay close to us, we will stay close to you, and we will find a way to move forward as a community, notwithstanding the challenges that are around us every single day. Take good care. Thank you.
Do you love food and providing nourishment to local communities? The University District Food Bank is looking for volunteers to help serve food to members of its community. If you have just a few hours a week to give, you can make an impact on people's lives. University District Food Bank has volunteer opportunities Monday through Saturday, with some shifts during evening hours. For more information, log on to udistrictfoodbank.org. At United Way of King County, we are working side by side with communities to build an equitable future for everyone. Hourglass United Way is a podcast that highlights how we and our partners spend time making a difference in our communities. Our work is made possible by the generous donations from people like you. Please send comments and suggestions about our podcast to hourglassunitedway@gmail.com. To learn more about our work or to support United Way, log on to uwkc.org. I'm your host, Joe Burris. Thanks for listening. Until next time.